Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of the Web Show. I'm your host, I'm Romolo, and today we have someone that is so special for the Vue.js community and for Next.js community. Is someone that is in charge of advocate all the principles and best practice of this framework, and also contributes with the lots of different things. And everybody knows Debbie. Hi Debbie.
Hey, how are you?
Fine, fine. So it's a pleasure to have you here on the Web Show. I'm quite nervous because having all these important people here to chat and to have the opportunity to know you a little bit better, it's great.
Thank you. It's good to be.
In the Web Show, we do some questions to our guests. And normally the first question I always do, because everybody knows who is Debbie, and is this question: who is Debbie?
Good question. So yeah, I'm Debbie. I'm Irish, but I'm living in Mallorca because it's sunny here. So it's a nice place to live. And yeah, I'm working for Nuxt at the moment. I'm head of learning and developer advocate. And basically, yeah, my principal job is to Nuxtify the world and make sure that everyone knows about Nuxt, wants to use Nuxt, and finds using Nuxt easy and fun and a good experience.
Oh, that's great. And how Debbie went, or how did you enter this work?
It's a really long story, so it would take the whole show. So I'll try and put it into like a little kind of mini version. But basically, I started programming in about 1997 or 1998, back in the time when we hadn't even got the internet in Ireland. So we were making websites and we couldn't actually put it up on the internet because it hadn't been like installed into the college, right? So I got my first job after that, and it was really boring because the internet was really boring back then. There wasn't much you could do, and it was like black and white, and code editors didn't exist. It was just a white notepad and a little bit of Dreamweaver. That was kind of like in the day. So I left and I went to Mallorca to work as a hotel entertainer on a stage and have fun. And I did that for many, many years, which was brilliant. And then I traveled the world in the winters and I worked in the summers. But then it comes a time when you kind of say, right, I need to like have a proper job now. And so I decided, okay, it's time to go back and study. But obviously, like, technology had changed. So I studied. And at the time, Flash was very big. So I made like loads of Flash websites, and then Flash died. So I went to WordPress, made loads of WordPress websites. And then I was working for a couple of companies. I was very good at HTML and CSS, for example. But I was the typical not designer, but like a front-end developer in the olden days, kind of front-end developer, right? Because back then front-end developers weren't called programmers because we could only do HTML and CSS, and we passed it to a programmer to put the JavaScript or the jQuery as well on, right? Nah. So as I worked in that role for many years, in and out of kind of jobs and startups and stuff, when I went to get a proper job, I couldn't because I didn't have the proper skills of a front-end developer. So I was lacking JavaScript, and that was a massive lack because now React had come on, Angular was here, Vue is just kind of starting, and I was like all of a sudden, unemployable, right?
Yeah.
So I don't, and it's terrible because hey, I'm very good at HTML, CSS, and Sass. So you think, but you should be able to get a job, but you can't get a job if you don't know JavaScript. So I had tried to learn many times, and I'd failed, and I considered myself not good enough to be a programmer. So I was just going to be a web designer, right? But I couldn't get a job, and now I'm like, right, I'm just going to give up and I'm just going to teach English. So I was teaching English and I hated it and it was terrible. No, I loved it, but it was like really crap money and terrible hours, and it didn't fulfill me, right? It's fine, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. So eventually, with the help of a Dream Builders course that I went on, I managed to kind of say, right, I know what my dream is. I want to be a programmer for like Google. That was my dream, right? I said, but I live in Mallorca. There's no Google here. I don't even know JavaScript, so I can't be a good programmer. So it's just not going to happen. And I got kind of like talked into believe in yourself and make it happen. If you want something to happen, you have to make it happen. So I gave up my job. I had some savings, which I was very lucky to have. It was our wedding money. And I spent all our wedding money. I spent about 8,000 in just studying I spent 9 months in this room here. I kind of had a lockdown myself in this room and basically just locked myself in for 9 months and studied 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. I did a full stack tech degree, a front end tech degree, learned React, Angular, absolutely everything you possibly need to know, even Node, to be able to then walk into a job and say, promises, yeah, I know that. Node, yeah, I know that. This, yeah, I know that. And yeah, I managed to get a job after 9 months, which is great. I still wasn't amazing at JavaScript, of course, right? But I had taken a massive step, and that meant I was now employable again. So yeah.
That it's I have no words. Yeah, that is it's inspirational, it's motivation, it's everything all together. Because and I'm so happy that you bring this history, because normally all people have the idealistic career path. I went to the university. Yeah. I went to my first job. I got an intern on Google or someone else, and I'm developer. No, it's a real fight. It's a real pushing hard to create your own path. And I'm so happy to hear this history, because it will motivate a lot. Also, I'm more motivated to learn even more things, because sometimes you say, "Oh, I already know enough." No, you never know enough. You always.
I never went to university. Like I went to a college to study a course. It was like a hands-on course, right? So it's not university. I didn't think I was clever enough to go to university, so I never went. And it was true that back then I didn't get a job either, because I didn't have a university degree, and most companies in that moment kind of requested it. So I was like, it's not possible. And I think now recently they've shown, like, the bigger companies have also shown you do not need a university degree. And it's more valuable. What we've done, like the front end degree, a tech degree, an online degree, is more beneficial to you than a university degree and having a law degree or something, like, so yeah.
No, that is completely correct. Well, the next question normally I do, it's how do you land on this job on Next.js? You already answered lots of things about your career, but this is also something that everybody wants to know. How to get on your feet, because it was really hard to get to be accepted as a developer. And now you are one of the leads on a huge framework that has quarter million downloads weekly, and lots of big companies are using. How do you land from nothing? You only know CSS and HTML, to a person that teach everybody and inspires everybody?
Oh, thanks. Basically by never stopping, never giving up, and just constantly moving forwards. So when I was in the first job I was in, I didn't just like do what I was told to do. I kind of went, oh, but why don't we do this? So I was constantly putting in, ideas and creating new ways of doing stuff. And I got moved to another company straight away. We created our own framework in that company, which was a great experience. Never do it though. And after that, my boss, I was very lucky to work with really great people and have a really great boss who pushed me a lot and basically said to me at the end of, it was about a year, he said, you need to leave this company. I was like, no, I love this company. He's like, no, you need to leave because you've just created a framework. What are you going to do for us now? Create components for the rest of your life in this job? No, you need to be able to do more, and I can't offer you that possibility. So he basically said, right, you need to go so that you can be better, which is, hard, but also really nice. It's incredible.
The most honest boss I ever heard in my life.
Yeah, he was fantastic. So then I went to another company, which was an agency. Agency work is very hard, as many people work in agency know, but you learn a lot because you have strict deadlines, you have a lot of clients, you have a lot of different, like we're working with Angular, we're working with Nuxt. At the time, I had wanted to work with Nuxt because we'd researched it in the last job. So I went into this job saying, I want to work with Nuxt. And they said, well, you're going to be in charge of the tech of the front end, so you get to choose. I was like, great. So I pitched to every company Nuxt. I lost some of them. They wanted to use Adobe AEM and things like that, right? So you're never going to win always. But to every company, I pitched Nuxt, and we ended up using it in some format in the company. I was also doing a lot of talks for Nux because I was really passionate about it. And I was contributing to the documentation. And just like, I don't know, for me, like if you had said 6 months ago, what's your like favorite job or what job would you like to have? I would have said to work for Nuxt would be my dream job. But Nuxt is open source, right? So that's not going to happen. You know, don't think it can happen. So let's, you know, work at something else, right? So I'm in the agency, and it was in February when I was at the conference in Amsterdam, and the Chopin brothers basically approached me and they said that they'd won a funding round, right? So they got funding for Nuxt. They're creating a company and they wanted me to be part of the company. And I was like, oh my God. So not even an interview, not even a, would you like to, you know, can you tell us? No, they straight away knew my strengths. They also knew my weaknesses, which I think was one of the great reasons why I wanted to work for them, was because they were able to say, we know you need to improve in this area and we're going to help you improve in this area. And we know you're good at this and we want to push you into this and do more on this. And
they did pre-interview. They didn't interview it. They went to you and said, okay, we already know this without any interview, and I want you. Huh?
Yeah, pretty much. And I was like, oh my God. And in that particular week, I actually had 5 other interviews or job offers, right? Because I was considering moving anyway, but never knew that Nux was a possibility. And I had like, you know, all these other companies and these very different and very good offers as well. And I went to bed that night, you know, and it's like, right, I'm going to think it all over. And the next morning I said to my husband, I'm taking the Nux job. And he went, you took that last night already. I mean, you know, it was in your heart already. You'd already said yes. You didn't need to sleep on it. But you know, you just kind of
he know you.
True, right? So yeah, it's been 5 months now. It's still a dream come true, and I absolutely love it. It's great.
And you are doing great. I didn't know you just got to the Next recently, but I'm seeing lots of improvements on documentation and also some articles. And to be honest, I use Vue in not my main framework. I'm a web components addict, but I use Vue or VuePress or Nux in some special cases inside of my project and company. And I think that it's so interesting. And Vue, also to be honest, is the well-written framework we have in our markets.
Yeah.
React, Angular, no. Well-written is Vue.
And easy to get started with, you know, for a new person coming into programming. Where do you start? Start with Vue, then learn React if you want to. But I think Vue is just a great framework to start with. And
yes, it's fast. I think that for those that came from AngularJS was the place that was easy to land and feel happy, because lots of different things, but also similarities. Because we wake up in the next day and we didn't have any framework. Yeah, we have Angular 2. That was completely new framework.
Well, they've extended the because of coronavirus, they've extended the support for Angular 1, but it's like literally dead.
Yes, so yes. They will end support next year, I think, or was something like that. No, that is great. That is great. Talking about frameworks, about Nux, about my next question, normally it's about the web. But before doing that question, I want you to ask, because you are an open source worker. Yeah, so I worked in an agency, as I said, and an agency, again, have a different mindset, right? Because their goal is to make money. So at that time when I was working for them, we created something really cool. And I was like, let's open source it. And they were like, why would we want to share our work with anyone? That's ours. We could charge people for it. We could make money from it. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. And they're like, no, people have to pay for it. And I kind of went, are we paying for Nuxt? Are we paying for Webpack? Are we paying for Babel? We're not paying for anything. So they're quite happy to use everything for free and not give back, because they don't actually understand that that we're actually giving, like they're using so much. And I think that's the hard thing, making them realize the amount of work that's involved in a project, in an open source project, and the fact that a lot of people like don't actually get paid. So I'm very lucky. I work in an open source project and I get paid.
But there are a lot of maintainers. There are a lot of people who are also helping and working with Nux and doing amazing jobs. And we have people translating the website into Spanish, into Portuguese, into different languages at the moment. They're not getting paid. They are contributors. So we can give back if companies support us. And I think that's what it's about. It's about giving back. And I think if companies like, I will mention one that I was really impressed with was Trivago, and they donated to Webpack. I'm not sure it was 100,000, but something like that,
yeah.
A lot of money. And that's brilliant. That's amazing, because then Webpack can survive thanks to a donation from a big company that can afford it. Like, not everyone can afford it, which is, fine. So yeah, it's very hard to make money in open source, and you need to be working on something constantly. You need to have a team. Like, we're very lucky that we got funding, because if not, Nux couldn't move fast enough that the people wanted to move. Technology is changing so fast, and people are very expectant. No, we want this. Oh, this is out now. We want this now, and you need to be able to keep up with that. So yeah, I think everyone should contribute, and companies should. Like, we're never going to charge money for Nux, right? Or for Webpack or for Babel, but they're always going to have it for free. So maybe just somehow give back. Or maybe if you can't give back money-wise, one company I work for gave back in contribution. So 2 hours a week, you contribute. Your developer actually works for Webpack or whatever you want to do. And if everyone does that,
companies, you should listen, Debbie, because it's one important thing. I always try to advocate for these kind of things. I'm also I'm working on financial industry since almost ever, and I started open source because I was a little bit ashamed of what we were doing, because sometimes we need to fix something, people complain but don't fix, and I start opening work. I'm not do so much open source. I'm also on standards. But also it's a way of contribute. But yeah. I'm trying to make the possible on my spare time to share with the community, because at the end of the month, who pays my salary is not my company. Are all these open source things. Listen to Debbie, listen your model, because if you give 1 day a week to employee to contribute to open source, at the end of the month you have 4 days that your employee is not working for you, but possibly is working for you, because he's developing something that you may need. Yeah.
Yes, that you're probably going to use. So it makes sense, and yeah, I think some companies have it and they understand it, and some just like no, you need to make money for me, end of story, and they're never going to get it. So it just depends.
Anyway, I hope that the future changes all this COVID, all this pandemic, all this reset of some mindsets will help companies, people also to contribute.
Because they're saving in office space, so they could use that money then to contribute.
yes. And well, now is the question about the web. There are two different questions, but I will ask them at the same time. First, how do you think about the actual landscape of the web? You told me that you start only with intranet websites, because back on time you didn't even have had internet. And what do you think about the actual landscape? What do you think in the future, your wish list for the next 5 years of the internet?
It's
a big one. It's a big one,
right?
It's a big one.
I think we have just seen through the whole coronavirus thing that how important the web is, right? So we would not have survived. I would not have survived without the web being locked up in this apartment for 2 months, right? So we've seen how important it is, and we've seen also how more people are going towards online shopping as opposed to going into shops, which means the whole market has just changed completely in the space of just bang, this is here, and now all of a sudden everything is different. Performance is now more important because we're all at home. We're not in this office with massive internet. We're in our house where maybe we're in the mountains and it doesn't get the internet we want. So the website needs to be as performant to be able to deliver. So there's a lot of improvements still for the website. One thing I would love to see improve more is accessibility. I think we're going in the right direction, but I think we're still very, very slow. I love Lighthouse. I'm very big into performance. I think Lighthouse has come on a lot. I think the whole Jamstack and static sites has really, really helped in performance. But I still think the tools to help a developer see if your site is accessible, because I can get 100 score in accessibility. My website is not accessible, not as accessible as it should be, right? So I think, yay, great, I'm a great developer and I've got 100 in accessibility and I finish developing and I go home happy. That's a blind person would have problems using this site, right? So I would love to see better tools to help developers, because I want to do a good job, but I don't really know how to do it properly, and it is a lot of work to get it done right. So I'd love better tools and accessibility. I think that's something that we should work on more.
I think that accessibility is excellent point to talk about before jump to the other question, because I saw other day you posted something about you are translating also documentation of the Next to Portuguese or something else, and I believe that internationalization and localization, it's also part of accessibility. We normally don't mention this on the accessibility side. I'm just saying that because I will give a talk in a few days on Cascadia.js about that.
Yeah.
But I strongly believe that's also part of the accessibility, because if you don't understand, it's you are also not accessible for you, and you are focused on the accessibility, but also you are working on Next to everybody be able to understand at least something on your website on their own language. This is great.
Yeah, thank you. And it's not me that's doing all the work, I have to say. It's people who are contributing, and it's been fantastic. I literally just created a task list, put out on a GitHub project and said, anyone who wants to help, we'd love to have like the documentation in Spanish. I mean, Spanish is one of the biggest and most used languages in the world, and we didn't have a single thing in Spanish. That's crazy, right? Crazy. So to be able to help, especially countries in Latin America that don't have the possibility of maybe learning English, that don't have the resources, are not able to pay for certain, English language schools, etc. So to be able to read it in Spanish, I think it's been like fundamental to get that language out there. Portuguese for the Brazilian market, because there's a lot of people in Brazil as well. So that's been amazing to get that out. And that's thanks to the community of Nuxt, which is, it's amazing to have a great community that help us do that, because I wouldn't be able to translate it all, right?
Yeah, and indirectly, you are creating also new open source contributors, because it's easier to start on translating than moving any piece on the core itself.
For sure. For sure. And even just like correcting a translation. So someone might make a typo very easily and someone else can contribute by changing that. And that's still a contribution.
To be honest, I almost contributed this morning on the Portuguese translation, but I'm nursing my kid. I just was father a few months ago, and of course he was and should I make the pull request or should I no? But I think
never doubt, just always make it, because remember that I'll either accept it or I won't. So never think like, oh, is it good enough? Will it make it? There's always a barrier, and I used to think that because I started contributing for Webpack, right, which is a big project, and I thought I was going to break Webpack and break everyone's site. So I was like, I can't do this. I'm like, you're never going to break it, right? There's checks in place, so don't worry. Contribute, make an effort, and if it's wrong, I will help you make it better. So yeah, please, everyone, just contribute.
Sorry, I just saw some echo, but anyway. And now the 5 years. What is the place you want to be on the internet
in the next 5 years?
5 years.
Next 2 to 5 years. I have absolutely no idea. It's like when I walked into my last job, that was 1.5 years ago, right? The one I was in the agency. When I walked in there, they asked me that question in the job interview, and I just said to them, in 3 years, I want to be working for Microsoft. I want to be traveling around the world, helping code bases and helping companies and improving their code, etc. So that was my answer 1.5 years ago. Now I'm working for Nuxt, so now it's completely different, right? So now I'm like, I want to see Nuxt get more funding. So we're going to go for another round in about 1 year and a bit. So when we get to the next stage, like we can put so much more kind of resources and stuff. I've been working a lot with Microsoft as a Microsoft MVP, and I've been like contributing a lot with them. So being able to do that is kind of like the dream, what I asked to do, only I'm not getting paid by Microsoft, but I'm still kind of collaborating with them. So that's fantastic. So I don't really know if I have like, I don't think I want to move anywhere, but I would like to create more stuff. So I want to like, for example, one of my dreams, one of my goals is to have a Nuxt workshop on Front End Masters, right? I think because that's one of my favorite websites. It's one I use to learn, and it's all the people on it are amazing. So I'd love to be like, in my way, it'd be like me thinking I'm good enough to be up there, right? It'd be like putting me up higher in my books, right? So yeah, I want to create some more workshops. I think it'd be nice to, if we can get out of this virtual world, it would be nice to go into a room with people and help them learn Nuxt. If not, we'll stay in the virtual world for another year. So yeah, improve as well my coding skills and like, you know, sometimes when I'm working in Nuxt, I rely on other people to help me with stuff. And I'd love to have that knowledge more, which is mainly the JavaScript kind of knowledge that I'm still a bit lacking, to have that better, to be able to do better and give an even better like documentation or learning resources for Nuxt. That's, I think, like, I don't know, 5 years. 5 years is like,
yeah,
too long away, right? So I'm going with the 2 years. Then ask me again. And
that's great. We will have next season of the web show, and I will ask you for more 3 years, and we do consecutively.
Who knows?
Until 5. Who knows? Yeah. No, that's great in reality. And for those that are at home, also has curiosity, is my next question that I ask. How do you work? And when I ask how do you work is how are your good or bad habits? I work at night, I work at morning, I work on the terraza, I work on the beach, I have 2 monitors and 3 computers. What are your working habits and your tricks?
Yeah, so I have a stand-up table, which I can press a button and then I go down and I can sit down. So I found standing is great because sometimes you forget to take breaks. And when you're standing, you actually remember to take breaks more, which is good. I have 2 big screens. I have a camera and a microphone, and then I have my big MacBook Pro, which if I need to, yesterday I was in a restaurant and I was just sitting there and working from a restaurant with a nice view. So I don't do that very often. I should do it more because of the coronavirus. It's kind of like not as good. But I have a lovely room here where I've got 2 windows, which is strange to have a room with 2 windows, but it's very beneficial because I get a lot of light in the morning and the evening, and I have lovely views of mountains and trees. So that's fantastic. I'm very good. Well, I'm very bad sometimes at like, I will stay at a computer for the whole day and not move. And when you live in a small apartment, the only place you go is to the kitchen to get water or to the bathroom, and that's it. So my steps were like ridiculous, which makes you fat, and that's not good either. So I was like, no, this is so unhealthy. I need to stop because I'm very sportive. So I kind of like brought into, because it's summer, I have a community pool in my apartment block. So I have pool breaks. People have smoke breaks. I have pool breaks. So I time it at 11 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and 7:30 I should be finished work at that stage. They're my pool breaks. And if I go down to the pool for a swim for at least minimum 15 minutes, 20 minutes, come back up, that's like a half-hour break 3 times a day. That really helps.
Sorry a lot. I just hijack your pool break on the web show. Sorry a lot. Sorry. Was not my intention. But well, no, that is great, David. That is great. I never heard the pool breaks, but it's a cool thing. And who has a swimming pool or shower break on with these temperatures that we have here in Spain? It's crazy.
Yeah, and now that like winter is going to come, right? So the pool is going to be closed, and I have to figure out a different way because it really works and I like it. So another thing I started to do was go to the gym in the middle of the day. So like, just before lunch, and like walking to the gym, do an hour, come back. And even something I've also started to do is when there's a conference talk, I like to watch some conference talks or a video course. I go to the gym and I watch it there. So either on my phone with the earphones in, or on the actual screen, the walking machine has it, and I'm walking or running. And I find that helps because I'm not moving enough. And if we just like, and I want to do more and I want to be, so, okay, let's go to the gym and listen to a talk while you're running. And then you're not like losing time. I don't know.
I should follow this advice. I will be more elegant for sure. Because I will take this advice. And how is your setup? You have two big screens. You have your MacBook, and you use VS Code. You use JetBrains. You use anything else? Any strange or weird plugins?
Yeah, so we all use VS Code in Nuxt because of the amazing like live code sharing, which is fantastic because we're all in different places, or the majority of us are. So to be able to like someone just to come on a call and share code easily, and you can follow along. You're not in the same office, so VS Live Code is fantastic. I'm using Code Insiders as well, so I'm living on the edge, so I get all the everything new. And what else do we use? GitHub, obviously. All our deployments are on Netlify, so we do a lot of work with them. Yeah, it's VS Code. I live in VS Code, and Notion as well. Notion is a great tool for us for creating content as well, because it's live sharing. So we could be like creating the same content, creating the same like documentation together through Notion, and it's like you can live see everything, and it's very good for organization, etc. We have Discord to contact all our maintainers, our ambassadors, and the community in general. And then we have Slack internally, calls or Google Chrome normally. Yeah, I think that's about it.
It's quite the set of productivity tools. By the way, we are in a time that everybody is working from home. You are working from home, but you are a remote worker. For those that normally goes to the office and just had this remote working like since 2-3 months ago, what is also do you think are the benefits of this remote working? I already saw that you have swimming pool breaks that I cannot have working in my office. But how many advantages do you see more on this kind of or this style of work? Because I think that it's the dream work for everybody now. Everybody wants to be remote. At least myself also, I'm dreaming, stay remote for life. But of course, it's complicated.
Yeah, so I only started remote working with this job. Before I was never remote working. And before, what was happening was I was getting up at 6:30 in the morning. I was going to the gym for an hour. I was coming back. I was having a very quick shower, literally running out the door with a smoothie that I made the night before, throwing it in my bag, getting to the office just in time for the 9 o'clock meeting, sitting there in the meeting with my smoothie, trying to like drink my breakfast. Then sometimes I forget it. I'm going to take lunch, or I'm going to work till 3 o'clock, go home. And then you get like stuck in meetings, and then you like forget lunch. You haven't had lunch. Now it's 5 o'clock and you're starving. It's no point in having lunch. You're just going to straight have dinner. And that was the life I was living, right? So it's very stressful. Yeah. Now I don't stress. I am very lucky as well working with Nuxt. I don't have a timetable as such. So I can get up when I want. I mean, my bedroom is just there, that next room. So I don't have to get anywhere, which is great. So if I want to start work at 9 o'clock, I could just get up later. I can go to the gym in the morning. I like to kind of break up my day. And I think the great thing about working remote is normally it depends on your hours. Sometimes you can't do that, right? But I can feel like this morning I'm not feeling like going to the gym because my legs just feel too tired. And then I might get a lot of energy and say, oh, I really want to go to the gym at 3 o'clock. So I can just do that, right? And whereas I couldn't do that in an office, because you can't like leave the office at 3 o'clock and come back at 5. You don't do that. Working at home as well, I get to see my husband more. So we have lunch together, which we never did before. And that's kind of nice. So before we'd only see each other like 9:30 in the evening. And cooking is really easy because you can literally like just put some food in the oven and you're still working. And then you have Alexa that's, saying dinner's ready. And then you go and like take it out of the oven. So you eat a lot better. You get the washing done because you can actually put the washing machine on while you're working. It takes 2 seconds of your time, right? But you can do it. So you're not doing all that when you come back from the office, and you're living I think stress. I don't stress anymore. I'm eating a lot healthier, and I have a hell of a lot more time. I think they're the main benefits. Like the swimming pool, of course, but that's something not everyone has. But to be able to eat healthy, eat with the family, and just like, today I'm having a bad day. I'm just going to take 2 hours and sit on the sofa, and then I'll come back and work. you can do that in an office. You just work through it, don't you? You just
Yeah, it's a true it's reality, yeah. And I hope that this balance will become more common with all this are happening right now with all the society. That is a great point of view.
I think what it will do is it will change people's perspective. Like if I was to go back now and work in an office, I would do things different than I did 5 months ago. I wouldn't put myself under that stress because I'd say, hang on, you don't need to. That's not good for you. So I think as well, we will be mentally better prepared for that if people have to go back to the office.
This is also a good point of view, because it's if you don't are remote full time, because I also have some colleagues that say it's horrible to be remote. I have my kids showering all the day, or I have to do lots of things that I don't do when I'm at the office. And yeah, it's that balance. Well, it's been great so far, but I have more questions for you. And one question is, what is if you have any side project, any pet project to show with us, to share with our viewers?
I think like my biggest project at the moment is of course the Nuxt website, which we're constantly improving on, and we're like working on a resources section at the moment. We're going to have a discover section. There's going to be like so much more. So that in itself, and it's open source, so anyone can like catch up on what we're doing and watch what we're doing, etc. Other than that, I don't have time to really like, you know, put on a side project. I did have one. I wasn't maintaining it because I couldn't. And Nuxt is like we're you know releasing so many things so fast. It's like, oh, I can't keep up with that. I did create a project for the content module, which is how to create a blog post using content, which is like using markdown files. And I created a demo project for that. But it's just like it's part of the blog post. It's a little side project. But definitely the biggest project I'm working on is the actual nuxtjs.org website. And it's a very cool project.
That was a side project a few months ago, and now it's your main job. It's
yeah.
it's valid as a side project and main job too. Do you want to tell us more things about upcoming features, if you can reveal our view fans that are watching our talk, or?
Well, there's so much coming. Obviously, it's hard to say like, oh, we're doing this. Like, yeah, we're trying to improve things a lot. We're you know, like I said, the website, getting more documentation out, getting more learning resources out, a quiz, video courses, you know, things that are free, so people don't have to go and pay for something to be able to learn Nuxt. That's what we want to do. We want to offer them an easier way to learn Nuxt, even if they don't have any money, because why should you have to pay to learn something? So we want to like really, really help the learning. With Nuxt in itself, Nuxt 3 is coming out very soon. When I say soon, it means some month after next month. It could be next month, could be the month after. You know yourself, when it's ready. It will be out when it's ready. That's going to be a lot of improvements. And yeah, there's a lot in it that I can't even talk about because I haven't even been told myself, because they're still like developing cool features to add to it. But it will be a lot better. Even though Nuxt is already amazing, right?
Yeah.
But just kind of things to make your life easier. That's our main aim in Nuxt. If we can make your life easier, that's what we're going to do. So, you know, like the Create Nuxt app, we'll have a dashboard for that, for example. We're working on that. There's a hell of a lot coming. So yeah, I'd say sign up for the newsletter, which is on the website, and then you will never miss the news.
Just a random question, but I think also it's important to have this answered by someone that it's part of the core of the Nuxt and from the Vue community. I'm a fan of reading code of frameworks, and I've been last month reading all the upcoming version of Vue, and that it's delicate. I like that code as delicate. It's very, 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 very good. What do you think about when Vue 3 comes out and consequently Nuxt will update? The market share, we already saw that it's React, it's in a bag like 40%, and we have Vue and Angular more or less equals. What do you think about this difference? What do you think that how people can fight against that? Do you think Vue 3 will change this mindset? all the contributions you are doing also are contributing for that. Just your opinion about all this majority of everybody React.
So what I seen when I was traveling the world back in the day when it was possible, right? And I was going to conferences. In America, for example, it's very React focused. So a lot of people had never heard of Nuxt, for example. And it was like surprising, no? It's kind of like, whoa, they were very much React developers, like you said, right? And in Europe, I found a lot of people are using Nuxt. Maybe because Nuxt is from Europe, and maybe because, you know, React is from America. Maybe it has that. And then also you have like Vue. The whole Asian community is massive for Vue. So there's a balance there. I mean, obviously the Vue docs are translated into Chinese, and that makes it, you know, very, very helpful. The accessibility always helps, right? Originally it was because it was backed by a company. React was backed by a company. Angular was backed by a company, and no one's going to, you know, trust in Vue because it's written by just one guy, and you know, and that's that perception in the moment, right? I think that's changed a lot. I think a lot of companies, we have amazing companies who've come on board to use both Vue and Nuxt, and that's kind of seen like the trust we're getting from mega companies like, you know, even Microsoft are using Nuxt in GitHub Stars is made with Nuxt, for example. So there's a lot of bigger companies coming on board, which we are going to showcase in the website. I think that's going to be a big thing as well. When you can say to your boss, I want to use Nuxt, and look, these people are using Nuxt. And then they go, oh, okay, then if they like, you know, are using it, then I'll use it. The difference I see with why React, not just why React grows, React is obviously very, very good. And I'm never going to say React is better than Nuxt, Nuxt is better than React. It's different. I prefer Nuxt. I started learning React. I also learned Angular. I prefer Nuxt, but a lot of the courses are only teaching React. So if you go to America, I learned React. There's no tech degree out there that's teaching Vue, not one. So there's a lack of resources. Front-end masters, for example, we do have a couple of courses on there, but it's not enough. One was just released, which is amazing. So we need to have more workshops, more courses, and I think that's where we can change things by getting the learning resources out there. If people can learn something, they will use it. As a developer, if you've just spent 6 months learning React, you're not going to go into your job and say, oh, I think we should use Nuxt. No, because you don't know how to use it.
Yes. Completely clear, crystal clear vision about what is happening and what is going on. And well, I think that Vue has a huge market and a huge growth in Asia, and we know that I think it's one of the most popular and backed for companies that if they were in Europe, they will be called Google or Facebook, but sure. they are in China, or in Asia. No, that it's a great vision about it. Well, our web show, it's almost ending. Yes, because we need to fit this in certain amount of time, and I've been so it's been so problematic with me because it's the first time I'm recording this. First time I'm doing all of that. I am completely amateur. And of course, sometimes I just stand the conversation so long, and now I try to keep, because it's a double job. It's doing the conversation and edit the thing, and I'm having a pile of video to edit, and I'm just starting working next week. Well, my question here is your final thoughts about this moment, about being here on the web show, and the message for all our viewers about the web, about everything that you want to say to them.
Okay, so I think at the moment the whole virus thing has taught us that technology is growing. There's a lot of work out there in technology. We need more people in technology. And I think a lot of people are afraid to start in technology because they think I'm too old, I'm not good enough, etc. And I want to just say, like, anyone can learn to code. It's not easy. You have to work hard. We're all going to struggle. You're going to your head's going to go crazy. You're going to think I'm not good enough. Don't let imposter syndrome get hold of you, because it's like, I like to kind of think about kind of similar to sport. So if you were to, if you do cycling, for example, you can go up a mountain and you get up to the top of that mountain. You might struggle. You might not even get there the first day. You'll go back and you'll finally get there. And when you get there, you're going to feel great because you've achieved this. And then you're going to find another bigger mountain. And you're going to go, oh my God, I didn't really do anything. That mountain's bigger. There's always going to be bigger mountains. There's always going to be harder struggles. But when you go that same mountain again, you're going to find it easier and easier. And you're going to see like, wow, I can actually do this. So don't give up on yourself. Keep trying. And yeah, like the tech community, explaining it to someone non-tech is incredible because they don't understand it. We help people so much. If the world was only tech people, I think we would be like the most nicest people in the world, because tech people are very, very open, friendly, helpful. So just get out there, ask for help if you need it. We're all here. We're all in this together. And yeah, just go for it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's great, Debbie. Well, today's episode was with Debbie, and all the sensations I have from this episode. We have someone that it's a fighter, and always run to achieve all she wanted, and that's great because she started without even having internet, and now it's one of the advocates from such popular framework and helping on the community. You are a Google developer expert, you are Microsoft MVP, you achieved so much that it's great. And also I want to pass a message for all those girls also that wants to start on tech, that nowadays I think the things are much better than they were like 10 years ago. Follow the path of Debbie. Everybody can do it, and be strong. Just if you want, you will achieve. And
exactly.
do
Follow your dreams.
And please do the swimming pool breaks.
Yes.
This is the most important. Well, thanks, Debbie. Thank everyone that watched this episode, and yeah, it's the web show.
Okay. Thank you. It's my pleasure. It's been amazing.